Today, we're diving deep into a true masterpiece, Christopher Nolan's 2006 film, The Prestige. And here's the thing, it's not just a movie about magic. The film itself is a magic trick. And together, we're going to figure out how he pulled it off. You hear this line early on in the film from Michael Caine's character, Cutter. And it sounds like he's just explaining stage magic, right? Well, he's not. This is the blueprint for the entire movie. It's literally the key that unlocks the whole thing. So that's exactly how we're going to break this film down. We're going to follow the structure that Nolan gave us, looking at the story through those three acts: the pledge, the turn, and of course, the prestige. But first, you got to meet the players. We're in Victorian London, and the world of stage magic is cutthroat. And at the center of it all are two magicians about to start a rivalry that won't just define their lives. It's going to destroy them. On one side, you've got Robert Angier, the great Danton. He's played by Hugh Jackman, and he is the ultimate showman, classy, an aristocrat who just craves the roar of the crowd. And his rival? Alfred Borden, the professor, played by Christian Bale. He's this rough, working-class guy, a pure genius who couldn't care less about the applause. For him, it's all about the secret. So this isn't just about magic, you see. It's a full-blown class war playing out on stage. So let's get into the first act, the pledge. This is where the movie shows us something that seems pretty ordinary, a simple professional rivalry. But like any good trick, you really need to be watching closely right from the start. This whole rivalry is born from a terrible tragedy. They actually start out as colleagues working together. But Borden, he's ambitious, maybe a little reckless, and one night he ties a different, riskier knot on Angier's wife during a water tank escape. She can't get out. She drowns. And in that one awful moment, Angier's grief just twists into this obsessive, all-consuming need for revenge. And that sets everything else in motion. And that brings us to the second act, the turn. This is where the film takes that ordinary rivalry and makes it do something extraordinary in the darkest way possible. It turns into a deadly obsession that spirals completely out of control. Their feud goes way beyond just professional competition. It becomes this desperate, dangerous chess match. And the goal? It's not just to win anymore. The goal is to absolutely ruin the other person, both on stage and off. And the main weapon in this war? Secrecy. It's also their poison. Both of them are living these double lives, hiding these massive truths from literally everyone, especially the women in their lives. Borden's obsession with his secrets is what drives his wife, Sarah, to total despair, and eventually to her own tragic end. And this level of obsession, well, it demands huge sacrifices. To win this war, Angier and Borden are willing to give up everything: love, family, and, in the end, their own humanity. For both of them, that line between the magician and the man starts to blur, and then it just vanishes completely. Angier becomes completely fixated on figuring out Borden's greatest trick, the transported man. He's driven to the brink, so he travels all the way to America to find the one man whose real-life genius is basically magic, the inventor Nikola Tesla. And right here, this is where the story takes this amazing, unexpected turn into science fiction. And speaking of Tesla, this is just a brilliant bit of casting. No one was dead set that only one person could play him, the legend himself, David Bowie. I mean, Bowie was already this almost mythical figure, right? He brought this perfect aura of mystery and genius to the role. Nolan actually flew to New York to personally convince him to do it, and Bowie's performance is just unforgettable. All right, and now we've arrived at the final act, the hardest part, the part we call the prestige. This is it. The moment of revelation, where everything we thought disappeared comes rushing back, and we finally see the terrible, true cost of their obsession. See, the prestige of the film isn't just about a magic trick on a stage. It's about the final, jaw-dropping reveals that make us, the audience, have to rethink everything. Everything we thought we knew about these characters and their story. And the solutions to their tricks, they're just horrifying in their elegance. Angier's method is pure, brutal science fiction. That machine from Tesla creates a perfect clone of him every single night. And to keep the secret, one version, and he never knows if it's him or the copy, is dropped into a tank beneath the stage to drown. He literally commits murder and suicide every single performance. Borden's method, on the other hand, is so simple, but you could argue even more profound. Borden was never just one man. He was two identical twins, sharing one life, one identity. That's why he seemed to love two different women. One twin loved Sarah, the other loved Olivia. They sacrificed the chance to ever have a full life, all for the sake of the perfect trick. So, with all the secrets finally revealed, we can now step back and look at the film's own prestige, its lasting impact, and what critics and audiences really thought of it. Commercially, the film did really well. It was made for about $40 million, and it brought in over $109 million worldwide. That just proved that people were definitely ready for these kinds of complex, smart thrillers. And what about the critics? Well, they were mostly on board. It holds a 77% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with most critics agreeing it was this dazzling, challenging movie that keeps you guessing. A lot of critics were just blown away by how intricate the whole thing was. Claudia Puig from USA Today really nailed it when she called it one of the most innovative, twisting, turning art films of the decade. But not everyone loved that big sci-fi twist. The legendary critic Roger Ebert famously argued that by bringing in a literal magic cloning machine, the movie cheated. For him, it broke its own rules, and he saw that as a huge flaw and an otherwise brilliant puzzle. Over the years, though, the film's reputation has just soared. It got Oscar nominations for its incredible look. The art direction and cinematography are just gorgeous. And now it's pretty much always on lists of the best films of the 21st century. Its screenplay is considered one of the greatest. It's just one of those movies that gets better with every watch. In the end, the film leaves us with Borden's last chilling line, which is really a question for us. Are you watching closely? It's a dare to go back and see all the clues you missed the first time. Because the real magic of The Prestige is that it's a trick you want to see again and again, even after you know the secret. Because as Cutter says in the beginning, the secret is nothing. The trick isn't the point. The point was the sacrifice.